So is there any amendments or changes to the agenda?
Yeah, there's a few things we should just add for discussion. Monticello,
I thought you were going to take something off.
no, we're adding.
Be nice.
Just an update on Monticello and update on the Peggotty Beach storm repair plan. Bull Rush was...
That's on there.
Oh, it's on there? Okay.
Yeah, I see it. Discussion Moorish Farm.
All right. Carol, do we want to put 110 Central Certificate of Compliance on?
Peggotty Beach is already on.
No, we signed that already.
Okay. All right, guess that's it.
So those are on there. They're all on there.
Bittersweet,
Alright.
Board of Health, has approved it, and
I'm just going to update you real quick on Appleton, Crosby, Damon. Okay?
Okay, I make a motion to accept the agenda with the amendment. The add-on.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If you're not feeling well, you should sit next to Penny.
That's not very nice.
I'll just breathe on it.
What, do you want me to get
We're already
sick
closer
so
than I wanna
won't
be.
show up? All right, I'll remember that, Frank. Paybacks, remember.
All right. Want to go to the RDAs? We got people in, ready to go on those?
Yep.
So Loring, 11 Conroy Terrace, Phragmites Management, is that still
Yeah. That's Brad Holmes. He's not in right now. I don't know if he's going to be coming. We may want to hold off on that, or he could have even requested the 21st. We'll have
Okay.
to check that.
All right, well, we'll put it off for a bit. We'll continue it before we adjourn.
Okay.
Golden and Haas, 150 Booth Hill Road, septic repair. On January 7th, 2015, during the 6:15 meeting in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Anthony Golden and Judith Haas for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaw for septic repair on property located at 150 Booth Hill Road. Scituate abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. You're up.
All right. So my name's Steve Hassett. I'm an engineer at Morse Engineering. I'm representing Tony and Judy Golden, who are here tonight. And I'm presenting the septic system repair plan at 150 Booth Hill Road. It's a 60,000 square foot lot. It's an existing three-bedroom, single-family dwelling shown here. There's a garage and a driveway. And in the rear of the property, there's a wetland shown as blue line. It was flagged by Brad Holmes. There's a second wetland off the paper over here to the right. We show the 50-foot setbacks to the wetlands in red and 100-foot setback in green. The house is currently serviced by two cesspools that have failed a Title V inspection. They're both from the groundwater table. So we have proposed a new system. It's a 1,500-gallon septic tank, a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and a leaching field. We put the leaching field behind the garage. We held as close to the garage as we could. And the leaching field is 71 feet from the wetland at the nearest point. We have also proposed a straw wattle at the limit of work. It's shown here in orange. That will prevent any sediments from running off in the wetlands during construction. We feel you can improve this plan because we're upgrading a failed system because there's two cesspools in the ground block table. We're providing erosion control measures to prevent any sediment from running off into the wetlands. And it complies with the wetland setbacks for Title V and the Scituate Board of Health. So that's about all. I talked to the Board of Health this afternoon and they have approved the plan already. And that's about all. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. I do. We're gonna park both the cesspools and so on, right? Okay. When I was out here, okay, out in the backyard, there's a lot of shit on there. I don't have a problem with putting the leaching field, but I have to have a problem with the stuff that's out there.
All right.
There's a buffer zone and the wetlands out there.
Yep.
And it really needs to be cleaned up, yeah.
Whereabouts is the debris pile?
Around, at the back of the yard. This
If
is
you
just,
follow the tree line back, it kind of, there's a path up this road over here, and right up here, there's a little debris.
that should be cleaned up.
A lot of times when we approve a septic system, we have an opportunity to clean up an area that might have had leaves and branches put for years, so.
Yeah, you're not supposed to go in that buffer zone and dump all your leaves and stuff like that.
Where else do you put them?
You take them down to the green, connection down on the Driftway. But other than that, there really isn't any other place that I can see that there's room.
Steve, what revisions did you make after your first submission? Did you meet with Dan?
We revised the elevations.
Oh, that's correct.
Oh,
yeah.
something, okay.
Yeah, we missed that between the elevations up here and in our detail.
Okay.
Paul?
No, that's no question.
Lisa? Good?
No, I don't have any questions either.
Pat, you have
Yeah,
anything?
it's always good to improve on cesspools and put in a Title V system, so this will be great.
Hey, is this trash or is it just yard waste?
It's a little bit of both. This junk out there,
Yeah, this,
It's brush and leaves, there's no
But it's not in the wetlands.
debris.
it's right on the edge. Yeah, so.
I guess, I did not get out there, so I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, if we can clean up a little bit, yeah, and the whole thing's leaves and everything, if it's not in the wetlands, you could just remove some of that, that would help us out.
Anybody in the audience? Oh, for a motion to close?
I make a motion for -3.
Second? Second. All in favor? Negative's good.
Yeah, that's what you want. You don't want a positive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. How at 92 Clap, are we anywhere with that?
Yep, that's, we just have as a placeholder every time so that we make sure that gets out before the spring.
So we're gonna continue that?
Yeah, it's,
To the
How far out?
21st, or can I go way ahead?
we emailed, what was the response back on the email? Oh,
Didn't get
okay.
any response.
Okay, yeah, so they know we did email about that. Maybe,
February or?
yeah, actually, I think you have to keep it on the
All right.
agenda if it's an RDA.
You couldn't go out farther?
I don't think so, because it's the 21-day thing.
All right,
Okay, I make a motion that we continue 92 Clap Road, the IGA, to January 21st.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. We got a few minutes before we can do the DPW or the bittersweet notices, because they have 6:45 and 7. Do you want to run through some correspondence and?
Yeah, there's a couple of site visits coming up, too. One is the 392 Tilden that I think Bill had been out to it, and we scheduled a time, and I emailed people at the time on that. The other one, Bull Rush, is the one that's down overlooking the marsh. There had been some equipment in the salt marsh down there, and I called the person, spoke to him. We're trying to set up a time to meet, so that'll be another site visit coming up.
Is that the small dirt road that's off of
Yes.
Howlett?
Yes, yep, the last street overlooking the marsh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or did you ask them to keep the tractor out of the...
Yeah, so it's, you're right, so it's like a verbal cease and desist, but we're gonna go out and see what's been done out there. You just have to find a time when
What,
he's...
next week, maybe?
Yeah, it probably be early next week,
Okay.
so.
Let us know.
How about the DEP on-site appeal at 30 Inner Harbor?
That was supposed to be on for Friday, and it just got continued to a date uncertain. the abutter asked for a continuance. She's the person that is right next to the house that's getting the septic. And so she asked for a continuance. So Greg DeCisa has put it off now. So,
Okay. Monticello?
What we have to do is we have to officially sign the paperwork on that now. We didn't have a quorum for the vote, but they don't get presumptive approval on a project like this. So their option at this point is to file for a superseding order, or superseding RDA. And I think that's their only option, because the vote wasn't taken in time.
Okay.
So do we have to do anything else? Do we have to sign something?
We have to
tonight?
sign, because that starts the clock. They have
Okay.
70 days with DEP.
Yeah.
And we just need to word it that way, that there wasn't a quorum of voters to approve it or deny it.
Okay.
And then DEP, they have 35 days to act on it. If they don't act on it, then it does get approved. If they do act on it, they'll have a meeting on site.
And we'll be notified of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about Stockbridge, Pat?
Stockbridge, they're on for ZBA. John Chessier has met with their engineer, and it worked out just about everything under stormwater that can be done. I think John's satisfied they're pretty close to meeting everything they need to under DEP. Bruce Bout from the Waterways Division, or the Drinking Water Division, emailed today, said he's good with it. So we do have to go back to DEP for the adjudicatory hearing, but I think if stormwater's worked out, Bruce is happy with it, and we have our conditions. I sent you draft conditions.
Yeah. Did you have, I remember reading it, and I don't know, I tried to look back on it. Bruce sent you at some point a rationale as to why they could deviate some from the setback that was required for the tributaries?
Yeah, and part of it was that there's a wetland that this tributary flows through before it gets to the drinking water supply. If it was just a stream straight into the drinking water supply, he probably wouldn't have, he probably would have had some tougher conditions. He says it kind of flows into a BVW, there's some more filtration there, and then it goes into the pond, into the drinking water supply, so.
Do you think you can put your finger on that email?
Yeah,
Could you, if you think of it, re-forward it? I'll try to remember to send you something and ask you.
yeah, that might have been, that might have come up in a meeting rather than an email. You think it was an email?
I remember reading it. I wasn't at a
Yeah, I think
meeting.
it was at the meeting that he said that, and I just sent it to you in an email, but, okay.
Okay. I'm still in these tributary pieces and us not having jurisdiction, but I'm always curious
Right,
how that all fits together.
right. And there was some question of whether it was a tributary. There's two streams, and one is a tributary, the other one, there was some question about it, and he was saying, looked like it was, it's a 90-degree turn, it was a dug ditch, and it, it doesn't run much during the year, so he didn't even really consider that, as part of his decision, so.
Huh,
But a lot of changes have been made, though, too, so.
right. Okay. And at Peggotty, I'm sorry,
We met again with Stan Humphreys and one of the abutters on Inner Harbor Road, and they have an order of conditions to take the sand from the marsh side of their house and to bring it to the parking lot, and then the town brings it on to the beach. So it was a further discussion about how that's going to happen this year. They want to be able to maintain the dunes, plant grass, keep the fences up during the winter, and keep it from becoming pathways, either because of people cutting through or waterways. So Public Works and myself met with them, and Nancy too. And we're in agreement on that. The only point of disagreement at this point is a lot of sand goes behind their houses toward the marsh. they want that sand spread out further along the beach. Right now, it's brought onto the swimming area of the beach, right where the parking lot is, and it's not spread out further. So that's the lone point that's in disagreement.
Just explain that again to me. They will have it moved from behind in the harbor to the parking lot.
Right.
Then the town
Then the
will
town
move it
picks
from
it
the
up.
parking lot
Yes.
onto the beach.
Yep.
And that includes that pile of cobble?
The one back on the marsh, that one's going to involve Plymouth County mosquito control now. And that's beyond where the 4 or 5 houses are that have the order of conditions. It washes into the marsh a little bit beyond that. That's where we had Russ Totman do it last year. We're having Plymouth County mosquito control go out there because they have better equipment for that, and they want to keep the ditches clear. They don't know how much of cobble they want to take back because there's no road there, really. They just want to keep the ditch clear. So when they come out to go to the Glade site visit, Plymouth County, they said they'd like to swing by Peggotty Marsh and see what the plan is.
All right, thank you.
So,
Geez, I should have welcomed you more to our meeting. She's our liaison, if anybody didn't catch that, which is nice.
Hi.
We'll be sure
Please
to...
excuse Frank's rudeness.
He's not rude.
Direct. We're going to be direct. We'll get through this real quick. Well, thank you very much for taking on us as one of your...
I look forward to it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for all you do.
Well, some days. Some days. I had a chance to actually go to the paper passing for the Crosby piece of property, which we've been waiting on for about 2 years. And it actually did happen, and everything got recorded. And so now both the Damon and the Crosby property are part of the town's open space. Yay! Yeah, it's taken a little while, but it's a good one. And so the next piece is to get going with our parking trailheads and additional trails, which we're going to ramp up pretty quick. Talking with the engineers already about what we need for plans to get that done. We have to get the access, the new access to Appleton Field completed in 6 months. Part of the agreement in purchasing that Crosby piece is that the town will relinquish its rights over the old cart path that went into the Appleton Field and use our new road. And the owners of the Crosby property have given us 6 months to get that done, so.
Okay, so what's our first step to get together RFPs?
Hopefully we'll be able to have an engineer complete the design. There's already, the road going in is already designed,
Okay,
but we need to carry an additional road from the parking that's out back.
okay, we're gonna do the
Yeah.
whole thing.
And I
Okay.
think that it's kind of a little bit of a catch-22, but now that the town owns the property, we probably have to go to the planning board. It's a scenic way, and there's a piece of stone wall that's going to have to get moved. So there's some little logistical pieces, but we're going to get an engineer to design that and the other parking spaces at Bates Lane, at Damon, at Higgins McAllister, and maybe even Hubble.
So when you say we, who's doing this?
This will be Conservation Commission.
That's also,
yeah, after speaking with you, Frank, I have a draft letter for Tricia on that, but I want to give
Great.
it to you first to make sure I've included everything.
Okay.
So, just to see if the engineering specs and all that for the design for the road makes sense.
Yeah, and we'll ask, DPW has agreed to review it with us. We had a chat, Bill Limbacher and I, CPC, were meeting with Kevin last night, so we had a few minutes to talk to him about a couple of our projects and theirs. And he said that they'd take a look at it, but they just have so much on their plate between the water projects and multiple things
What
that,
we make them do.
well,
well,
No.
they have to earn their keep, you know, I mean.
am I right in feeling there should be be a priority for Concom right now? Because we only have the window of 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, does one of them have to be done within 6 months, or should we?
Well, we're going to try to get, what we'd like to do, or what I'd like to see happen if we can, is we'll get this all designed in a package, and then hopefully we can bid it and get one person. I think there'll be some economy. That was sort of the strategy
Yeah.
before. We held up on some of the lesser, small parking areas to roll it into one project. But we probably, a year ago, 2 years ago, we met with the butters, so we've sort of run through all that piece. We're done. And we've already run it up the flagpole with the fire and police, and, they're on board with the locations and where we're going to put things.
Is
So-
it only Crosby, though, that has to be finished in 6 months?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
So
it doesn't
they
even
start
have to
with
be
that.
totally finished, it just, we need the access.
We need the roadway in, we
Yeah.
need the parking lot and, because there's a bunch of stuff. There's some wildlife habitat.
Fortunately, we've already filed, we did the notice of intent for that access road, that's done.
Okay. The natural heritage come in on that?
Everybody.
one? Oh, good.
What, are you trying to mess it up?
No, just asking a question.
Make sure we do it right.
Trying to keep you out of jail.
No, that's all.
So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's
And
a
it'll
long time.
open up some new areas for folks that want to hike in some different places, and
Yeah.
should be good. Pretty happy about it. And the other piece, though, that we do need to do, and I talked to the attorney, is get going with our CRs, the conservation restrictions. Part of the requirement of purchasing that land with community preservation funds is that there's a conservation restriction on all those properties. We've done some with some of the prior purchases, but we've got probably a half a dozen that need to be completed. And we've got a boilerplate pretty much for that, maybe a little tweaking from one property to the other, but we just need to get that. It's a piece that, it's the paperwork that goes along with it.
Yeah. Along with that, too, the open space plan, to finish that off, I think, planning, well, Bill and you and Penny and myself and Laura need to try to figure out a way to get that thing.
That open space plan piece.
Yeah. It was contracted out, and there's some work left to do, and the guy we met with...
Oh, I thought it was done.
When we agreed to do that, this was a CPC-funded project a few years ago, a couple years ago, and the idea was that we were trying to keep the price relatively low, and that we sort of committed the conservation agent, the planning board agent, weren't at the meeting, but we committed their time to doing that. Well, they've kind of got a few other things going on, ramping up with maybe a few development projects in town. So we're going to look to see if maybe we can get some additional funding to help.
Oh, because that fella did what he could? Is that?
Yeah, and I think he still needs information from all of us.
So,
Oh, the guy, the last guy?
No.
Thought we were done with
Yeah.
getting the
well, we were
info.
thinking that that would be something that you would be interested
Well,
in.
I was helping with it, that's why I thought we were all
Right.
done.
Yeah, it was
Since
last
you-
summer, I think.
And since you're so knowledgeable about it, I think that you should continue.
You're being buttered up.
I don't know if I'm knowledgeable of this.
Richard will help you.
No problem at all.
No, I'm more than willing. I was under the assumption the last I heard from Laura, it was completed. I thought it was completed. I am more than happy
It's not.
to keep going.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to set up a meeting with, we should set up a meeting in the next week or so.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's fine, just let me know,
All
yeah.
right, I'll put some times out there, and
Thank you. We still got like,
Could I just do the minutes quick, get that over?
Yeah.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of November 5th, November 19th, and November 17th of the year 2014.
You do mean December 17th, right?
Yeah, what did I say?
November.
December 17th.
Just want to make sure. Second.
That's okay.
all in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
You. Orders and conditions? You wanna look at any of those?
Yep, I think those are ready, Cal, right? The
A couple of emails I saw, Carol wasn't quite sure they were ready.
we're scrambling this afternoon.
Glades Road you put off, right?
We haven't heard yet.
Glades Road you put off? Didn't I see an email that you said,
Yeah, because we haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
They're on the agenda tonight.
We thought we could, but we're not.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So
stuff.
Old Forge Road, we're good with that, right?
Yeah.
What do we figure out about the chicken coop?
Well, we get a lot of information from Waterways. I
vitally important?
think we just said they should file an amendment for it, and then it can be a hearing, and we can get whatever information we need, and, you know.
I was surprised at how much information there was.
There was a lot of information.
Interesting.
And it falls in the category of manure. It's not just chicken coops, you know, so.
I make a motion to accept those orders
Yep, it is.
for 136 Old Forge.
As long as they don't have to take out the chicken coop without, they can go through the process.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, I mean, and it may be that they want to move it to another location, or maybe there's no harm. Or maybe you could put something under it, who knows?
All right.
I live in the
Put it
city,
on
I don't know
piles.
anything about chickens.
Somebody want a second? that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
About Webb on Lot 1, reconfiguration of the dwelling.
I think that was all set, Cal, right? Yep.
I make a motion we accept Webb, Old Open Bucket, as written.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
This is one that was a good example of the stormwater bylaw working well, I think.
Yes.
You know, it was another set of eyes looking at the plan, and I think it made it a better site for, in the end.
No, you're right. I think that all worked out well.
Yeah.
So DPW will skip over for a minute. Monticello, we've talked about.
He's coming up right now.
How about Mr. Ayers?
Gardner Road, we sent in a large packet of information into the head of the DEP Southeast Regional Office. When we spoke to her last time, we said we have an enforcement audit that's been going on for a while. We haven't gotten any cooperation or any action. She said, send it in. So it's all going to Liz, and
Good.
we have the photos that Penny took and Lisa took, and then we have the original enforcement order, and we have several letters, and we have the legal correspondence back and forth,
Okay.
So where is this going to?
Southeast Regional Officer, DEP, they have a legal team that looks at it. Liz Cool-Harris is the director down there, so.
This is like a blatant clearing of a wetland area.
Where?
Garden Road is off of Indian Trail, almost into Cohasset.
Cohasset line, right on the line.
Right on the
there.
line.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
So it's
And-
serious.
And it's been a couple of years, and it's just been this back and forth. that- Duffy at Central Ave, any changes down there?
The letters keep coming back. We
I haven't made it to Humrock this year yet, but
I was there today.
Did you check her address with the assessor's office?
Yeah. Yeah, the son just bought it, I
They're just
think.
not
So
accepting
we
it
have
then.
to,
But where are the tax, that's a good point. Where are the tax bills going? I mean, the taxes are being paid, I would
yeah,
assume.
I'm assuming it's going to the son now, but he doesn't live where.
can we pick a couple of things that are most critical there and try to ask if those get dealt with? I mean,
Yeah, it was the
No
dumpster and the pile
violations
of
of the
debris.
town. I
Yeah.
mean, there's the dumpsters that's exceeded the limit that's supposed to be there, and then there's
yeah, but
construction
for
debris.
wetlands issues.
Right, but these things are all, they fall, you know, with storms, they fall into the marsh and the paper street.
There
and
were
they
the
get
pile of
washed.
all those stones or bricks or something
There's
was. yeah.
TVs, foam.
So have we given an enforcement order on that one?
Yeah, for those things we did, and then we followed up with a letter, and the letters, 2 letters have bounced back, so, I mean, if it's the son, then we'll find where he is and get a letter to him, so.
Okay.
Because we were trying to do it before the storm season, because we don't want all
Yeah.
that.
Tell them we're really angry, next time it's gonna be an angry letter. We mean business.
We are in the middle of storm
Just,
season.
Frank, if you drove down there, there's more debris than
Yeah, it's a
was
disaster area.
in the beginning when they cut the trees down. There's like
Oh, it's much worse.
triple the
Yeah.
junk in
Much
the
worse.
yard, in the backyard. It's really bad.
And, well,
And
the
they pretty
side
much
yard.
ignored the commission the whole
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And it's all in a resource area.
Right.
It's
Every
all
bit of it.
Resource area, yeah. It's really a mess. It's worse than it was.
So what can we do past sending letters that they're claiming they're not receiving?
Well, they came back to us undelivered, so they didn't receive them.
Well, they're not accepting.
Yeah, oh, they're not accepting.
So you'd have to serve them with that,
Yeah,
but we have to find someone that we can serve it to.
right, right. And if we find out, I mean, this just came back the end of last week, so if we find out that he owns it, then he gets the certified letter, and if he doesn't respond to it, then we can serve him.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
if he bought it. I mean, that's the story we're getting.
I heard he bought it.
Oh, you did?
Have you, all right, well, just keep pushing it, I guess.
Yeah.
So the only people that can serve him is a sheriff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Constable or something like that, yeah. Well, you wanted to take it there yourself?
She would.
Sure, why
That's a-
not?
That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea.
wherever they.
Just try to be helpful.
But that's it, we don't know where they live. Not now.
All right.
Got to take, Texas would have it.
How about, did you get anything back from DEP from Moskowitz?
Today, yeah, today we spoke to Greg. The advice at this point, the options were file, again, start from scratch, file a notice of intent. They don't prefer that we go that route.
Who's they?
DEP.
Okay.
And then I said, well, what about the enforcement order? They prefer the enforcement order route, but they recommend a new enforcement order because the other one goes back to 2010. So you could even word it the same way, but now you have a whole new commission. Then it puts it on them to come up with a restoration plan. So then, if he says there's no restoration plan, we're not going to do one, then it goes into DEP as an enforcement order. They also said the other option is talk to Jim Toomey because there's bylaw issues, and Jim might recommend having them file. So we got that information today. So, I mean, in some ways, filing throws it to DEP right away without it being a negative enforcement kind of thing. It's like, here's what we have, is this acceptable? Then they decide to work on it or not. DEP doesn't prefer to do it that way because those can be appealed and they drag out for a long time and they don't want them. But Jim Toomey might recommend that as a way to go. So, so I plan on running this by Jim. I mean, we just heard from DEP today, so run it by Jim. And
But he just pushes
this
it
is a
around.
hard one. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no good answer at this one. But yeah,
I think
DEP.
it'd be better if you guys handled it.
Yes.
Put it in our
yes.
basket.
It'll come to them eventually, I think. But anyways,
All right.
so it's like Glades Marsh. It's heading there. So. All right, so I'll CC you guys on my email to Jim Toomey.
Okay. Did any response back from Hoffler's at Piggity?
No, that's one thing I had hoped to do for tonight was an enforcement order. I think we only left it as a violation letter and we haven't heard back, so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we didn't.
And that goes back quite a ways.
Yes. Yeah, there's a big file, there's a lot of information in there, so. That's similar to the one up on Gardner Road where it was laid out what he needed to do and there was no response. So.
Okay. Well, let's get Sean out of here.
He's hoping.
Let's see, make sure I get the right one. So on January 7th, 2015, at 6:45 PM, the Town Hall of Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the after-the-fact application of the Town of Scituate DPW to repair damage, revetment in areas along Glades Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Sean McCarthy with the Department of Public Works here in Scituate. There was quite a bit of unraveling the last couple of years along Glades Road, along the public portion of the beach. After we reviewed it, which we often do, we decided to mobilize a coastal contractor that we've used quite frequently to do many repairs in town, to basically take any of the stone that had moved away from the wall and replace it against the wall. No new stone was brought in. It was all stone that had existed and fallen away from the wall. The areas shown on the plan are approximate. As I say, the stone was replaced, so no new stone was brought in, nothing was changed about the way the existing footprint of the revetment works now. Just received a letter from Division of Marine Fisheries late this afternoon, and most of their concerns was that the work stayed within the existing footprint of the revetment, and that the equipment and fueling of the equipment was done outside of the resource area. We did oversee the project on a part-time inspection process. Took about 2 weeks, I think, for him to do this area. He was working in between tides, so some days it was a couple of hours, then we had some high northeast winds. He didn't come back for 3 or 4 days. The equipment was stored up on Glades Road during that time. So basically, he would do what he could through the tide cycle, fix which stones he could, and then got off the beach until he had completed the section of public beach, which runs from basically Bailey's Causeway up to goes just past the public ramp at the end of Gannett Road. The pictures you see now are pre-existing condition photos. You can see some of the footing exposed. Yeah.
Do you want to comment first?
Yeah, I think this is one we want to try to figure out a way that we can have a permit that is more open-ended and includes more areas, so that every time Public Works wants to do a repair job, they don't have to come to us. And this has an identified area. You know, you're saying Bailey's down to...
There is a limit.
To Gannett. And the three things we have to look at is if it's a wall repair and they can do it from the landward side, that's pretty minor. It's usually an emergency and they go do it and it's concrete. They have to reach over and do revetment stones on the beach. It's a little bigger job, but if they're on the landward side, they at least don't have equipment between the tide lines. And then the other one is either replacing rocks, bringing in new rocks, or going on the beach. And that's when you trigger an order, but you also have Corps of Engineers, Fisheries, and everybody else kind of gets involved. So if we can figure out a way to do some orders that would allow them to do this kind of work, I think for this one, this works well. But, you know, each section of town is a little bit different, like Oceanside projects are different, Peggotty and Hemlock are all different. But, you know, we ask homeowners when they're doing work on revetments or walls to come to us for an order of conditions. So, you know, it's required on DEP. We really do need to have something in place. These guys had filed for an order and gotten an order a few years back, but it was specific little sections that were named, and it didn't apply to these sections, so DEP said, well, that's a whole different project. So somehow we have to find a way to include what they need done, like upcoming projects that you may know are coming up next. The other thing is the abutter notification piece, because that's one of the main things. If there's equipment coming through yards or coming on the beach in front of there, somebody's got to let them know. And if there's one already in place, we wouldn't necessarily be notifying abutters again. So I don't know if you guys have a procedure for that. Like, I know for road work, you just put it in the paper, right?
Sure, on the website.
Yeah, because
We do door-to-door notifications as well,
Yeah,
if we're going to interrupt water service.
Right. So there's a bunch of things we need to kind of write into place and then get DEP to issue an order conditions on. So.
So if there's a whole laundry list of things that need to be done, could you laundry list them? You know, we need to do this project here at this address, and you know, and then figure out what the dates are that you're going to actually do them, but at least there's a punch list of them, knowing that these projects from, you know, October through June need to be completed. And then maybe a special notation where anything that's going to be crossing over some private property, make a special notation of which you have to generate an abutters notification, and if it's not noted accordingly, then an abutter notification does not have to be done. I mean, if it's something simple as an asterisk saying, with a little notation, 2 weeks prior to doing work, and so at least some kind of a tickler reminder.
Yeah, and we wouldn't cross private property without a signed access easement from them or agreement.
Which is what you have on all of these, though, already, right?
This is all public. This is all public.
Yeah, I think what
Owned by
you're
the
saying is
town.
right. I think we need specific language that addresses the whole abutter piece. And they don't always know what project is going to be next because it's storm
I was just
related.
gonna
Everything
say,
gets
it's
banged around and they say,
urgency.
wow, now we have a new area we have to do, so.
We did some orders, like for Man Hill Road and Inner Harbor Road, different places where it allowed people to do maintenance
Right.
on an ongoing
Right.
basis.
In a
And if-
harbor, yeah.
And if they follow up on it, they could even get a couple of continuances
Right.
and,
Right.
Really.
That's what we want to do, that model.
Maybe that's,
Yeah.
we gotta be
That we
careful, we don't
commend it.
let these guys have two.
Yeah.
What about a set of like, we did for some people on Central Avenue, we gave them standing orders to keep cleaning the cobble and putting it back on the beach?
Yeah.
Making almost like standard orders for seawall and revetment repair and Scituate.
Right, right. And it's
All the
identifying
same
the
things about
area.
equipment on the beach and,
Yeah.
But without having at least some kind of a specific location. I mean, the phone rings, you'll see equipment, and it's like, is this a private person? Is this the town? At least if it's communicated to us, and we know, so if the phone call comes
Right.
into conservation, you can say, oh, no, yeah, you guys have notified Pat to say, okay, we're going to be here, so if you get any phone calls,
and we do try to stay in
Yeah.
touch with Pat.
we did that with the standing
Getting-
orders we gave on some
Yeah.
beachfront property.
Yeah.
Just call and let us
Right.
know
Right.
when you have
Right.
I
equipment.
think we need to get them too, to put the DEP number either in the equipment or someplace real visible, so that that'll save you from getting called on and save, we'll know
Yeah.
too.
And informing the contractor too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who maybe they need to reach out to if they do have questions.
Well, it almost seems like there should be some sort of simple pre-construction, similar to what we would do
Right,
with anybody else.
pre-construction, right,
So
right,
that make sure
right.
that the contractor
Right.
knows things like this, don't fuel your equipment.
Right.
Where you're gonna store stuff, what sort of impact you should have on the beach, where you should be traveling on the beach.
Right.
I think pre-construction would be that should be a requirement in there. We're doing it now on the water line work, because a lot of times they'd have an order, and they'd just go out there and start the work, and they had no idea where we wanted erosion control, the contractor.
Right.
So this next round of water line work, I'm gonna be meeting with them on site before we even put erosion controls down.
Beautiful.
So-
So there'll be site-specific, basically.
Right, because like,
Protect the
Forest
resource
Theme's coming
area.
up, and we're gonna, yeah,
Right.
okay. I mean, I think it's, all these ideas need to go into the
Well,
order.
I think it's important, the town has to hold a standard that
Right.
we look for everybody else to do as well.
Right.
I realize some of it's for public good, and some things have to get done in a hurry.
Right.
But on the other hand, if we're gonna make every other person go through those
Right.
pieces, then obviously they have to do that as well.
Plus, DEP doesn't care who's in violation. They treat you all the same,
Right.
So,
I mean, is there some kind of like simplified form that we could create that would be, this project falls under a butter notification and this one doesn't?
I think more you'd do, I think you'd do a notice of intent for some maintenance work, and like Pat says, whether we do a blanket one or we try to be specific to areas. And then, once you have that in place, and you have an order of conditions just like any other one, and it might even say, every time a new piece is done, we have to have pre-construction.
Right, that'd be like part of the ongoing orders.
But it would be built into the orders, and then they wouldn't have to file.
right.
Every
Oh.
time.
Right.
Yeah, it would be different projects that are
Yeah.
going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like standing orders for seawall and
Right.
revetment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we could do it, the easiest one is like culverts, because culvert collapses, they gotta go out there and do it right away. In DEP, it's not a coastal thing usually, it's usually, inland wetland. We just go out there and we say, okay, do it, fix it, it's an emergency, put erosion controls up and it's all within a day. We could do a blanket for all the culverts in the town, you know, any emergency culvert repair. Going on the beach is a little different because you don't know who really wants to know about that, you know, Corps and everybody else.
Yeah, well, there is. It's a sensitive area,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be just done haphazardly.
Right.
And then we just want to make sure that stuff doesn't get rolled into that, though, too. Like, if we have some degree, say, all right, this permit will carry, whether it's so many yards of material, or such an
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
or whatever, but a larger project would still have to be conditioned again. You know,
Right.
if all of a sudden they said, you know what, we want to rebuild some pretty major seawalls.
Right.
I don't think that is the
Right.
intent that this
Right,
would
right.
condition.
It's maintenance more than a new structure or, yeah.
Right. But people can get that, you could have that for your home. If you wanted to maintain your seawall you filed, and part of your filing, you'd say, well, I want to be able to maintain it for the length of these orders. And if you were savvy about it, you'd ask for a couple of extensions and get it out as far as you could.
Yeah. So.
And like you say, each project has a different level of disturbance, if you want to call it that.
Right.
Like
Right.
Pat said, you can do some from the landward side, and sometimes you have to go on the beach to
Yeah.
do
And
it.
I think if you guys let us know, that it gets you off the hook and us more on the hook, and that we would say, yeah, I think it can be done, it can be conditioned or whatever. But if we find out about it through a phone call and we're out there, then it's violation mode, and, it makes it more difficult for everybody. So,
Understood.
So, I mean, we can write up conditions for this one and make it as broad as we can, but we should try to expand it for, all the coastal stuff so that we can identify areas and maybe avoid as many notices.
All right. Anybody else to comment on it?
No, I make a motion to close.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Step back over to Pat.
Do you know what, Sean,
But so the first phone call.
Right.
Yes, I know.
I'll send you the draft orders too, so that you guys, if you see it and think of something that we need to include. So like, as I'm writing up these orders,
Yep.
so you say, well, what about this? I might not have thought of it, and we could try to get that in there.
Good, sure.
All right.
That sounds good. Work
Thank you,
together.
Sean.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
How about night, 24 Bittersweet Drive, septic repair? On January 7th, 2015, 6:45 PM. 7. No, where am I? 7. Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application. We have a copy of Lane King to repair a septic system on property located at 24 Bittersweet Drive, Scituate. Butters and other interested parties invited to attend.
How we doing? Bill Spath, Spath Engineering. And we're out there, we have wetlands right in this location. And I talked to Pat about this. And he went out there and looked at it, and he said it's wet, which is that whole area. It's a perch table, we had a very wet spring, a very wet fall. What we're gonna be doing is placing the system outside the 50-foot buffer. We have the house in this location, and place the system, we'll have to end up pumping to it, and we're gonna end up doing some grading within the 50-foot buffer zone. It's all grassed, and it's gonna be replaced with grass, and it's a repair system. That's a short story. Any questions?
My question is, the other evening, section, we talked about it. Is there any reason it can't come up front, the leaching field? I mean, that backyard is like, it's so wet. I mean, it is wet, and
We don't have the area in front here.
you don't on the side?
This area, you take that hill over here, it's gonna be the same elevation-wise,
I
groundwater is the
understand
same.
that,
and
but
if you
it's
take the
not as
trees-
wet.
See it all right here.
It's straight.
Yeah.
Written in NOI too.
Yeah.
If you look at the contour.
Scope of work.
right, just
Yeah.
the way the contours
They're
are,
upgrading
hitting the
existing
same
fields.
groundwater elevations, because it's not rising up and your ground would be different. and we get good trees, vegetation within this area. And the grading would be extremely tougher to try to, here's the driveway, to try to get this to fit over here, it's extremely tough to level the wall and stuff in.
Right, and if you don't gain elevation, you haven't gained anything.
No, not at all.
Where's the driveway, Phil?
See the driveway comes in here? See these
Okay,
lines?
yes.
That's the driveway to the garage.
I think Richard. Well,
It's just if you
What
walk
Paul
in the
said,
dark, there was
what
a
Paul said
difference.
rings a bell. If it's the same level, it doesn't,
But
you're not
when
gaining
you
anything.
walk out here, there's a definite difference in the yard, as far as the dryness from the front there on the side to what's out back, because that's all wetlands way out back there. I mean, it's a huge wetland area. That was just a thought, I just,
Well, look,
I want to make sure that nothing seeps in.
I agree, because we consider that both when we look at it.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's all, elevation-wise, it's roughly the same. So
I
you're
understand.
not gaining anything. As a matter of fact, it would make it more costly into here to try to fit in and grade off either a wall on both sides to keep it away from the driveway in the area. But elevation-wise, you still look at the same elevation you're dealing with.
That's true, the gain would be farther away from the wetland, that's all, where it's already so wet out there. But it was just a thought when I was out there.
No questions.
Lisa? Good.
I just noticed one of the notes here, so the plans to use a sieve analysis in lieu of a perk test?
Yeah, we did. We ended up taking a sieve, which makes it bigger than what a perk would do. So it's a bigger system to handle.
And then the Board of Health reviewed this, or?
This has been approved by the Board of Health.
It has, okay. That's all I have.
Pat?
Yeah, I have a few things. I think this is one where we just have to look at it, that's an improvement over what's out there now. There's a cesspool out there now. It's really a tough yard, tough, high groundwater, constraints about not being able to put it in the front. When Title V, when that was written, they measure off the wetland vegetation. They don't always do soils because they're going to be doing perk tests anyway. So, if you did soils or wetland, it would be closer than 50 feet. But Title V will allow something like that. We would...
There should be sewer to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these houses were built before the Wetland Protection Act. These wouldn't even be built now. So you are making it better. But, I think in the future, we'd like to see test pits out in the front yard, as far as you can get away from a wetland. I know what you mean. You have slope to the left side of the house. The elevation may be the same, but I think we'd like to see test pits out there. It was reviewed by Dan Smith from town, and Barbara Thesell witnessed the perks. And the perks weren't as bad in the area where you were putting it. It's up closer to the house. I think closer to the stone wall, it would have been real tough to...
Oh, yeah, no,
it would have
that's why
been.
we tried to pull it back as far to the deck as far as possible. And again, which is not a thing, but if you're talking about a raised system, you want to make an ugly system look uglier, you put it in front if it would fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if there weren't the constraints in front, we'd be pushing to have it in front. But the waivers that you needed from the Board of Health, can you explain what those are?
What we end up, let's see, the variances, got right in here. The first one is a groundwater separation from 4 to 3, and that reduces that mound height. And it's allowed under the code with local upgrade approval, which they gave. It's not a variance, it's a local upgrade approval.
Okay. How do they get the same level of treatment when they grant that waiver or whatever?
They find that technically 3 feet will work, but they gave it 4. Title 5 requires it 4 feet.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
4 feet does it, 3 feet will do the job also. If you go into treatment, you only can get 2 feet out of it.
Okay.
All right? So that treatment takes place within that 3 feet of unsaturated soils. Is technically the same. They're saying that 4 feet does it and also 3 feet does it. Title 5 requires 4 feet, but you can get that reduction in height from 4 to 3.
Okay. The other thing is, whoever does the flagging, who was the person that did the flagging on this?
Peggy Fantozzi?
Okay. She a wetland?
Yeah.
sign?
she-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, she should, include some, either some narrative or a couple of DEP data forms. She did the one, looks like the one form in there, but she give us, Yeah.
Photos.
yeah, photo of the Phragmites, but, yeah, if you can get more
Yeah.
detail.
Vegetation is quite evident. Quite evident.
Yeah, it's a tough site. so,
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, I know.
The other variance, sieve analysis, we couldn't perk it, groundwater was high, so we tried to de-water that and perk would make a real mess. So we allowed to take a sieve analysis, which we did, based on the worst case of soil for the sieve on that. And the last one is a groundwater separation from the invert of the pipe. Normally, Title V requires you to be 12 inches from the invert of the pipe to the groundwater. And they allow you to go up to, and I think we had about 1.5 inches of the wetlands line, so we hit the modeling
Yeah.
that we hit. And we have an inch between them, which is allowed.
At what point do they say, gee, the waivers, we could grant some of them, but we're going to kick you into a higher treatment system? I mean, is that a
They don't.
gray area?
No, they don't. It's really up to the design engineer, or, if nothing like what we end up doing a lot of times, if it goes in the front, say you can fit a system in the front, and you got modeling or whatever, 2 feet.
Yeah.
You want to put in a drip system. For the drip, you need treatment, and with the drip, you only need 30 inches from groundwater to the grade. Where that type of thing goes in, or if you've got a small site and you can only get 50%, you go up to 50%, or you can go 2 feet to groundwater with a treatment unit. And that type of thing, using treatment, if you can't fit it in anywhere, use treatment to kind of squeeze it in.
So in your opinion, this will function the way it's supposed
I
to?
believe it would. The soils down below that we went through, it was a granular material,
Mhm.
all right, we did. So there's groundwater moving. It's not like a compact soil. We did hit a compact material up above, which caused a groundwater raising, a perch system, put it that way, a perch groundwater. And once we went through that, we found a granular material. There's still groundwater down there, but during a rainstorm, the wet fall we've had a high groundwater in this area because it's perched on top of that layer.
And it's fill anyway on that
Yes.
site?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody in the audience?
I make a motion to close.
Second.
He's back.
He's back.
You go from being outside at 10 degrees, come in here where it's warm. Just-
Put you out.
I second.
Oh, yeah.
All
Well,
in favor?
close for a minute. Wake you up.
We just need a variance from 50 feet to building 50 feet. Is that, you have to vote on that? Is that all right?
Just order the whole.
Be part of the conditions.
Keep on going.
We have to vote.
So,
I made a motion.
I second it.
you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Aye. No,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
aye.
Thank you.
We'll keep it rolling. It's like autopilot, Frank. Can you slip it in now?
Thank you, Pat.
Let's see what happened when you guys were on autopilot once in a while.
Not me.
All right.
You guys can go home now?
We're close.
Oh, yeah, man.
Not that it wasn't interesting, Phil, but...
All this stuff interesting, yeah.
Those good old septics. The good old septics.
I thought you guys are paying attention to that and learning.
If you can't baffle them with your brilliance, bore them with...
It works.
Thanks, Phil.
See you later.
How about Cote on Atlantic? What did you guys find there?
It was cold.
Yeah.
It's cold out there, yes, they
And what about that pristine dune? How was that, baby?
There's a lot of debris out there. Concrete,
It comes, we only
Really?
it's
do
this
one
desk,
hole.
yeah.
Imagine that.
There was hunks like this,
Yeah.
but can I speak on what I feel on it?
Absolutely. Who could stop you?
I know, well, you could, but.
Who could? That's
But we
another
all
thing.
feel
Who could
like
stop?
There's definitely debris in that dune. And they wanted
Did
to
it just,
dig
like-
it up. Wait a minute,
Go
but
ahead.
it was like 4 feet down. It wasn't at the top. He had to be down between 3 and 4 feet before he hit anything. And then there were big humps. And Mayor Vito wanted to do another test pit, and I said, no, we don't want to do that, because my feeling is there's definitely junk out there, but Mother Nature is turning it into a dune. And if we keep pulling that stuff, it's so deep, I don't think the water exposing it and sending it everywhere. It wasn't at the top, it was a good 3 to 4 feet down. And if we go out there,
What was the material on top of it?
it was all sand.
It was sand
It
and
was all
cobble, yeah.
I
sand.
don't remember this, we were there in the summer.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
I know we looked at it, but the question was, we had a discussion about whether we'd allow them to do a test pit and whether it
Right.
was a natural dune or what actually existed there.
Gotcha.
It was definitely all solid sand, and then we hit chunks of the cement.
So there's overwash or something that's
Yeah.
gone on over the top of
And then
this.
it's been moved around, too. About a year ago, the contractor moved it all
About a
around.
year
You can
ago,
tell the
there was a
gradient,
lot,
it's
there
dug
was a
out near
lot more
Central.
sand on
Okay.
there.
But the thing is, with the debris that's in the dune, my feeling is if you start digging around, it's compacted now. It's a stable dune.
There's stuff growing, there's
If you start
vegetation.
pulling the stuff up, you're not going to have a
Are they
stable dune.
proposing to remove all that?
Well, I have no idea. Mr. Nervino, like I said, wanted to do another test pit. And I said, Pat, I don't think we need to. And Pat and I and Lisa agreed, no, don't keep digging this stuff up. There's definitely junk here. But I did not want the whole site loosened up.
Okay.
You know, because it's
Right.
down deep. I don't see it moving, so I don't really, I personally don't see the need to remove it because it is so deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the dune needs to be.
Right, you could do
But it's
plantings
protecting
on
the
top.
water from
yeah.
washing into Central Ave.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
The
Right.
rest of it needs
And
to
it-
be.
And this summer, what we had talked about was kind of having them fix the grading on Central,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
clip the sides,
Yeah.
maybe a little
The thing
planting.
that, yeah, the thing that kicked this off was they wound up digging out an area.
Right.
They did.
Base of the property of
Right.
Central Ave.
Right.
So with the information that they got digging this test pit, they're going to be coming back to us for a restoration piece there, and then,
They're gonna be asking for something, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some kind of middle ground where we get a dune and the street area restored, and they get something, but it's gone.
because they were looking to, I mean, with the other part of the discussion was how much was actually parking
Right.
and how much
right,
was a
Right.
natural dune.
Right.
Okay.
And there's no, I mean, there's no black and white rule. It'll be up to us to figure out what the best idea on that
I
is.
do have a question. The area that they carved out on Central Ave so cars could park, why is it now all painted with blue paint?
Is there a water line there?
Yes, that's what he told us yesterday. There's a water line there.
They might have dig safe that, to do the test
Yeah.
pit, they had to call a
Yes.
thing called dig safe, so they want to know where the water line is.
But wouldn't a water line be within a specific area, not the whole width of where they had dug out for parking?
Depends if they
That
don't
might have
know
been where they had
exactly where
to
it
dig,
is.
yeah.
It was right there, but Paul did say that line because I had asked him, and he said, well, actually, the water line.
If it was yellow, it would have been a gas line. Blue's a water line.
There's, I don't think gas goes up that far, but water definitely does.
Yeah, no, and I don't know what the town owns off the center of that street, how wide it is, because he was trying to say that the water line was on private property. I said, I'm not gonna argue that one, go somewhere else.
That is entirely possible on Humrock.
That, I understand that, but it's not
Yeah, right.
our thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's where they, that's as far as we've gotten there.
Yeah.
So they'll be
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
definitely will be there.
But I think the key here is they have to restore what they dug out.
Oh,
Right.
Then we'll worry
Oh,
about
by
what they
the-
want to do.
Right.
Well, usually people will make it part of a whole package.
Right.
Well, that's fine, but it's got to include the
But
restoration.
I thought we
Right.
originally had asked them to repair that and then move forward with the other requests.
But I think what
that
they want to, what most people will
Right.
do if they have a issue is that they'll deal with that and lump it all together.
Right.
They got a file
Full
to,
plan, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
right.
you know,
Then at least hopefully we can deal with
So
it
you can
once.
think of the test pits as like some discovery.
Oh, like Nat Geo.
Yeah. How about 392 Tilden Ave?
That site visit, oh, let me get the date on that. I think I emailed everybody. Oh, it's tomorrow, the 8th, at 3:30. This is the one that Bill had gone out to and taken the pictures. It was a new owner, and they cleared, and there was a shed in the middle of the yard, but it was up against the wetland. They cleared all around it.
I remember that.
Tilden Road or Tilden
Yeah, it's
Ave?
Tilden Road, not,
Tilden Ave's in Humrock, I think.
no.
Well, the one that's not in Hummerock, then. The one that's,
Tilden Road.
yeah.
Oh, is there a Tilden in Humrock?
I think there might be.
Really?
Yeah.
There's lots of them, they're everywhere,
Yeah.
Tilden.
So you're going out there tomorrow?
Tomorrow at 3:30. The homeowner's gonna be there. And I'll try reaching the other guy too over on Bull Run to see if he could do it. We could do them both at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
What'd you say, 3:30?
3:30.
Yeah, it might be above zero by then, don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Just check. It's supposed to be 0, yeah. 0 when everybody gets up
I'm
tomorrow.
gonna put my snow pants on
Not including
tomorrow.
wind. Yeah.
Well, if our cars will start anyway, we won't be able to get anywhere.
Well, you know what? I have those little hand warmers and foot warmers. I'll bring some extra ones for you, Benny.
There you go.
My hands did not warm up till I got home.
I know, I bet.
I was
All right,
One other thing, there's a chance that the north end of Central Ave NOI might be coming in for the next meeting. So this will be, we may invite Maura to that one.
Will Kevin be joining us?
It doesn't seem that way. They have contracted it out to GZA Engineering and Peter Williams.
And what's it gonna be for? To do what?
This is so what they do with the emergency clearing of that, and then where they do cut-throughs to allow the floodwaters to go in toward the riverside.
Okay.
So this will be
oh,
interesting.
great.
The one thing we didn't
Just in
try
time.
was after bloom.
Yeah, we didn't do
So
our,
who's GZA Engineering?
Who are they?
What's that stand for?
They're-
Goizo?
Yeah, it's three last names, but,
Yeah, we're gonna
they
get
do-
anywhere with that
They do civil and geotech engineering.
All right.
Oh, that one? They had a funeral and they called to get the area clear, and I was like, it's not the right time to really be pushing them on an enforcement thing, but,
So when are they going to be coming to Hummerock?
what's that, GZA? GZA, they were finishing up the proposal, the notice, and they were gonna give it to Kevin, and if they get it in by tomorrow or Friday, we can have it on for the 21st. If they miss that deadline, it'll be February.
Are they going to be doing a
They have to-
site visit in Hummerock first?
Yep, and they have to notify abutters, so all the abutters on both sides will hear, because it's from Barrett Street, or Barat, or whatever it is. Barat, all the way down to Cliff, where Cliff and Central.
that's where Rosemary's house is, right there.
Yes, right. So everybody in that whole, both sides will get notified, but a lot of people aren't around, it's just the winter people, you know? You know,
There are
crazy the
some.
winter people are.
You know, I'll be around.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. More people to go, the better, you know? I think.
Okay. We have anything else?
No, I make a motion to adjourn.
And he's making me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.